Watching movies and jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.
Welcome back to K-Flix Fiction Radio. Today we're talking about one of my all-time personal favorite bands. Get out of here, Dustin!
Hey, what's going on in here, Sean?
I'm doing a live radio show and you don't want no part of this shit.
You're live on the radio?
Yeah, can't you see all this audio equipment?
What's it about?
It's about fictional bands and music from movies and TV, and this week we're talking about Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
That sounds like it might be kind of fun. I don't want to cramp your style.
Oh, it'll cramp you up real good with all the rockin' tunes and research.
I think I kind of want to get cramped up.
All right, yeah, come on and join me, buddy. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, man?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. Just a little tribute to the great Tim Meadows there and this fantastic fucking movie we're talking about this week.
Oh, shit. I'm so excited we get to talk about Tim Meadows some more.
Oh, my God. This is one of my favorite runners in the movie. This bit of Dewey constantly walking in on Tim Meadows doing random drugs and then falling further down the rabbit hole as a drug user is so hilarious.
It's played excellently every time, and again, it is one of those, like, pitch perfect for Tim Meadows to deliver bits.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely nails it. I mean, everybody is great in this movie, but those bits with Tim Meadows, he really shines.
I mean, this movie, well, we're a pretty quotey bunch, our group of friends who see movies, but this one's got some lines that we've worn out over the years, and I think "You Don't Want None of This Shit" is one of them for sure.
Yeah, it totally is. For those that may be in the dark, Dustin, would you like to inform the listeners what Walk Hard is?
Walk Hard is, first of all, a surprisingly underrated film. I think it's got its due credit in the intervening years, but it didn't make a bunch of money. It didn't make a huge splash when it came out.
No, and that's a shame.
Terrible shame, because what it is, it's a parody of all of the biopics of famous musicians that you've ever seen. And it's not only comedically incredible, it's not only like huge laughs per minute, but it has these amazing songs where these songwriters set out with the intention of writing sort of first and foremost great songs, and then also making them really hilarious in the context of the movie.
Yeah.
But these are not throwaway parody songs.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. They are certified banger songs.
And, my only regret is on this episode of the show, we can't talk about all of them because there are, like 15 on the soundtrack, but I think there are closer to 30 or 40 in the actual film.
It's over 30, I know that for sure.
Yeah, just at least little bits of songs.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive the amount of music they were able to pump out for this biopic parody.
Yeah, this movie stars John C. Reilly in, I think, a turning point in his career, or in the midst of a turning point in his career, the dramatic to comedic turn that he took.
Yeah.
And he gets to use all the chops from both worlds in this.
John C. Reilly is one of those super underrated performers. Even though he's been critically acclaimed for doing his dramatic work, he's still super underappreciated, I feel, in terms of his career as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in his dramatic start, he was kind of in character actor world.
Right, that's true.
Which is an undersung place to be as an actor. Was this his first? This is probably his first starring role, maybe.
Ooh, we'd have to hit the IMDb for that.
If it's before, I guess, Step Brothers, I would consider a co-lead.
Yeah, that's definitely a co-lead kind of a movie with Step Brothers.
But I think Step Brothers was after?
Step Brothers was after this because Dewey Cox is 2007 and Step Brothers was 2008.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I think this was his big turn, to a lead role and perfectly cast. Like, I can't imagine anyone else doing this.
Oh, God, no. He nails it so hard that anybody else that would try. Well, I mean, granted, if somebody else had been casted in the movie, I wouldn't know that he would be the greatest cast
Sure.
for it. But
alternate universe.
yeah, exactly.
That being said, I truly can't imagine anyone else. He's got all the chops. He's got the dramatic chops. He can sing. Like, he can actually sing.
Oh my God, can he sing? This movie is absolutely fantastic. There are so many jokes that hit for me every time he rips a sink. out of the wall.
Oh,
That kills me so fucking hard.
it's a good bit. There are too many quotable lines to even remember, and I watched this movie less than 24 hours ago. It is crazy. You don't want none of this shit. The whole thing. I mean, I keep going back to Tim Meadows. And you never once paid for drugs.
I was just gonna say that one. You never once paid for drugs.
Not even once.
It's the only thing he says in that. Everybody's listing off their grievances for reasons that they're pissed at Dewey, and the only one Tim Meadows is saying is, "And you never once paid for drugs." Oh my god!
I forgot how hilarious Chris Parnell was in that scene when he's getting all red faced. Fuck you, Dewey Cox. This is okay. We'll go back here and say this was produced by and co-written by Judd Apatow in the height of Judd Apatow mania.
Yes.
When he was truly the man with the golden touch in Hollywood comedy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, basically every rated R comedy of the time was like, oh, is that Judd Apatow produced? And you're like, yes, it is.
Produced, for sure. He was actually, I mean, he actually was a co-writer on this, so...
Oh, sure.
He's got
right.
Even more skin in this game. And it was directed by Jake Kasdan.
Yes.
Who is known for the Jumanji reboot.
He also directed Orange County and had ties to Judd Apatow before all of this happened because he directed episodes of Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I did not realize that.
And I actually have a clip of Jake and Judd talking about the creation of Walk Hard.
Walk Hard was an idea that I had one night, make a fake biopic.
Well, one day Jake said, Judd, let's do a movie that makes fun of all of these biopics like Ray and Walk the Line and Great Balls of Fire and just all the rock movies.
We had about 10 big ideas that we knew would be the basis of the movie.
And then we just had to decide who this guy was. And slowly we realized that he was a combination of Roy Orbison and Johnny Cash and Ray Charles and Jerry Lee Lewis, and Richie Valens, and he was all these people.
So, Great Balls of Fire was a movie that I didn't know existed until I was listening to that interview.
I had heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it.
Right. Okay, so I went to YouTube, I fired up the trailer, and I went, holy shit, do I need to watch this movie for the episode? I watched the full thing, and it has Walk Hard all over it. The movie itself is so extreme and outlandish, it feels like a parody of biopics already. Dennis Quaid's performance is so huge that it was probably an inspiration for like the temper tantrum scenes that Dewey Cox has in Walk Hard.
Oh, yeah.
And for lack of a better term, the hair acting that Dennis Quaid does in comparison to what John C. Reilly does.
The floppy pompadour.
Yes. Yeah. The hair acting is like so Great Balls of Fire. I was like, oh my word, this is hilarious.
I only watched the trailer for it after you told me about the film, and I was just blown away with how much Dennis Quaid was giving it.
Yes.
Like, I'm just so used to him as, not by any fault of his own, but playing like a kind of a boring character. You know, he's usually like the DA or something.
Yeah. He's there to look stern.
Exactly.
But not in this one. No, not in this one. He is big, huge, over-exaggerated the entire time. Voice, actions, everything. It's huge.
That's Randy territory, historically.
That is, it is Randy territory. Yeah. They even have a specific joke in the movie, which I guess is probably a real thing that Jerry Lee Lewis experienced because it's based on him. But he was married to his first wife, then gets married to the second wife before the divorce of the first wife, and then constantly references that the second marriage doesn't count because it's not legal.
That's from real life?
Yeah, I guess, but it's a running joke in the movie, so I was like, oh man, that's super Walk Hard, you know?
It's such a good bit in Walk Hard. Honestly, I forgot.
And the earnestness in him saying that line is so good. That's where it comes in of like, he's so good as the dramatic actor, but it's so fucking funny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's... I'm sure there was a lot of like improv stuff in this because that was super popular at the time, but like the amount that they seemingly stuck to the script, I think was very important for this. It was very important that it was played completely straight. That's what makes it so fucking funny. Wait, was the first wife his like 13-year-old cousin?
No.
Or the second wife?
Nope, not even the second wife. It had to have at least been the third.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Gross. So he was like old.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh. I don't know why that makes it like worse. Even if he was like 20, it's gross.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in his 30s for that.
How do they treat that in the film?
I mean, it beats you over the face with it.
Okay, but like people around him are like, Jerry Lee Lewis, you're disgusting.
Oh yeah, like he goes.
Okay.
He travels to the UK, and then that's where the whole world finds out that he's married to a 13-year-old, and then it's not the same for him after that.
Okay, gotcha. I know so little about him. I didn't know how it went, and I was worried it was just one of those like where they brush under the rug and go, well, he has his proclivities.
We're not here to talk about Great Balls of Fire. Goddammit, I don't want to talk about that movie anymore.
Okay.
Watch it if you want to. It's ludicrous, and you can totally see where all the inspiration came from, but. I mean, not all of the inspiration. There's stuff
many.
in here from Ray. There's stuff in here from Walk the Line. There's stuff in here from everything that you can think of in terms of a rock biopic.
It fits the musician biopic so well that I mean, I would even say there's stuff in movies that were not made yet that is relatable in this. I bet if you watch Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man, you'd get some of the same stuff because it's so formulaic.
Yes.
And that's what they play into with this.
Absolutely. I haven't seen either of those movies, but I would actually be curious to check those out just to see how much Walk Hard is in them.
Sure. Another hilarious way that the movie is really self-aware is like right at like end of Act 1, end of Act 2, where like the band members say out loud, like, it seems Dewey Cox's life has entered a new act or a new phase.
There's specifically one moment where I think it's Parnell says, does Dewey seem a little different to you? And Matt Besser says, oh, this is mid-story
This is
Dewey.
middle Dewey.
Yeah, middle Dewey. I love this film. It's so funny. Again, if you haven't seen it, you must watch it. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, people say about things all the time, it's ahead of its time, but I guess it was a little ahead of its time because it doesn't feel dated now. It feels hilarious now, currently, in 2024. It feels so funny.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two lines where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do that now. But
sure.
Even the really like offensive stuff is done with such purpose, and there are songs that we're not even going to play.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
out of context, it would be crazy, and we're not the people to talk about it. But
nope.
I think they hold up in the context of the movie because they're saying something important about how rock and roll was a stolen genre.
Yes. I just want to point out that there are a couple of other fictional bands in this movie. First off, we see Dewey Cox and the Dewey Cox 4 when he's 15 performing at a school talent show.
Which is the first time you see John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Whatever age he was, 45 or 50.
But the rest of the band members are appropriately aged.
Or definitely kids. Yeah. Well, but they save it with the Margot Martindale, who plays his mom, has the line where she's like, Dewey, my 15-year-old son. And it's just big old John C. Reilly.
And the reaction that the audience has is totally unhinged to this very tame song. It's so funny.
Well, we're in the Elvis part of the story there.
Right, yes.
Those gyrating hips that just made parents and men angry. All the men were angry in the scene, and all the women were just like...
ripping their blouses open, yeah. Yeah, all the men were like punching each other in the face, breaking chairs on each other like it's a wrestling event. Mm-hmm. Then we also have Bobby Shad and the Bad Men, and Craig Robinson is playing Bobby Shad.
Uh-huh.
And that's where we meet Tim Meadows' character. He's the drummer for the Bad Men.
Yeah.
Who, of course, just becomes Dewey Cox's drummer as the movie progresses.
And that's also where we get the line where Dewey Cox says, it'll be the exact same act, just with me.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, an amazing summation of like kind of what Elvis did, what the Beatles did, what like white dudes did coming into rock and roll. It'll be exactly the same, but with my face.
So yeah, those are the two extra bands in the movie, and I don't think we're planning on talking about any of those songs, so I wanted to bring up the bands at least.
Good call.
So what do you say we get into the songwriters who wrote all the music for this here film, Dustin?
So who do you want to talk about first? We got a lot of songwriters on this, including Jake Kasdan, John C. Reilly, and Judd Apatow themselves.
That's true, but they don't do a whole lot of songwriting outside of this film. So I want to focus on the people that do a bulk of the work and then also create music on the outside of this movie.
And I'm going to assume those three guys' contributions were primarily lyrical.
Oh, right. Yes.
Reilly may have done some melodies of his own. I don't know.
So I ended up finding this featurette about the making of the music for Walk Hard, and I'm going to play little snippets of that throughout. But there is a ton of stuff that I'm not going to play, and a lot of it is them just noodling around in the studio playing radically different versions of these songs.
Okay.
If you're interested in that, it can be found on YouTube channel Tones Tunes.
Tones Tunes.
First off, I want to just mention that all songs on this soundtrack were produced by Michael Andrews and the director of Walk Hard, Jake Kasdan. Now, Michael Andrews, he tipped my high school nostalgia super hard because he's responsible for a Tears for Fears cover along with Gary Jules that basically everyone of our generation knows. It's a cover of Mad World from Donnie Darko, of course.
No expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my soul.
This was like my intro to like indie movies.
100%. Yes.
This was like, I saw this early in high school and I was like, whoa, movies can be like this?
Yeah.
They don't have to just be ABC. They can be like kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then the director's follow-up film was my intro to like, oh, they can be too weird?
Yeah, totally.
And that movie kind of gave us Jake Gyllenhaal, too. That was his big break, wasn't it?
Well, and Maggie Gyllenhaal, to be fair, she's the sister in
she's
that.
in it. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
The Gyllenhaals.
Just for shits, in case you don't know the Tears for Fears version, here's a little sample of that. It sounds basically the same.
I mean, it is the same. The instrumentation's wildly different. Dude, Tears for Fears is another, like, I'm not like, oh, boo-hoo, no one loves Tears for Fears, but I do think they're an underrated act.
I would agree with you. I love Tears for Fears. Super fun.
I think of the 80s pop rock, like, they really stand out for me.
Back to Michael Andrews, he also did the score for Donnie Darko. That's how he was involved with that soundtrack and creating that Mad World cover. And just as one more fun fact for Michael, he is in a soul jazz band under the moniker Elgin Park, and that band is called the Gray Boy All-Stars. I'm bringing this up because he got into doing the score for movies because Jake Kasdan asked the band, the Gray Boy All-Stars, to score his first movie, Zero Effect, in 1998.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that explains, yeah, it looks like he was involved with, scored pretty much all of Jake Kasdan's movies. Orange County is on the list, and then, I mean, it just blows up from there. He gets to work with Apatow more on Funny People and all kinds of stuff.
I thought that I would go ahead and play a quick The Gray Boy All-Stars clip. It's a song off their 2022 album called Gotta Get Me a Job.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a job. There ain't no place on the streets no more. You see, I've been hustling all my life, playing cards, dice, and other games, but I guess I got to quit. I got to get me a job.
You know there was going to be a horn in there. That's a sax, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this guy can genre hop.
He certainly can, yeah.
He even did the scores for Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared, so he was even in the Apatow camp from day one. I didn't realize that. Michael Andrews was.
Yeah.
Now, apart from those we've mentioned, there are, I would say, two key songwriters for many of the songs in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there are a few other names you see throughout where they like somebody came in for one song or two songs, but a vast majority now are written or co-written by two guys, Mike Viola and Dan Byrne. So I want to talk about Mike first.
Great.
Mike co-wrote, just to name a few, the song "A Life Without You Is No Life at All," the song "Darling," "I Hate You Big Daddy," "Dear Mr. President," "Beautiful Ride," and "Let Me Hold You Little Man."
Great resume of songs to have written for this film.
A big chunk of this movie, yes. Now, Sean, I'm sure you discovered this as well about Mike Viola, but he has one very, very famous tune that he wrote prior to this movie. You know what it's going to be?
Hit me with it, Dustin.
It's a little song called "That Thing You Do" from the film That Thing You Do, directed by Tom Hanks. A movie that I don't even want to say too much about because we're going to do an episode about That Thing You Do.
Oh, yeah, there's no way we can't.
But, fun fact, he co-wrote that song with Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne.
Yes.
Mike Viola also has written songs for, well, first of all, he's written songs for other movies, and he's written and produced a ton of songs in real life by famous singers and such. His most famous other movie work is the film Get Him to the Greek, which I've never seen. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I saw it twice in the theater.
Oh, nice. I guess there's a fictional band performer in it.
Yes, there are two. Russell Brand plays Aldous Snow, his character from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, I didn't know those were connected.
They are connected, yeah. And there is also Rose Byrne plays a fictional pop star in that. I can't remember what her character name is, though.
And then, just a quick rundown of the rest of his resume. He has also written and produced for bands including Panic at the Disco, Ryan Adams, Mandy Moore, Jenny Lewis, and personal favorite of mine, Andrew Bird, he's collaborated with in recent years.
Yeah, nice, cool.
So he's got his foot in the quote unquote real music world as well, and it's all pretty cool stuff.
Just one more quick thing about Mike. He has his own music career and releases music, has put out several albums, most recently one earlier in 2024. It's an album called Rock of Boston, and here's the title track from that album.
There's nothing back there for me, just the same old routines. Am I falling into old patterns? Every time I pick up my guitar, still here waiting for an accident to happen. Still surprised I'm in the same old car.
Pretty chill tune.
Pretty chill. It's funny. I feel like we've uncovered this a few times where when you find one of these guys who can just write anything in any genre really well, like when left to their own devices, they're just like, I'm just going to do like a straightforward blues, nothing crazy, just something nice to listen to. And it's great.
So now that we've tackled Mike, I think we should bring it back and just mention that another one of the writers on this movie helped write the songs for Get Him to the Greek, Dan Byrne.
Yeah, I had missed that, but you called it to my attention. They've worked as a partnership before.
Yeah, they have. And it's pretty cool that they have that kind of a working relationship because it doesn't appear that they're in any bands together, but they do have a very good working relationship in terms of creating fictional music for fictional bands.
Definitely.
Dan, much like Mike, does release quite a few solo albums on his own, and including an album earlier in 2024 called Starting Over, and staying with the theme of this show, here's the title track off of that record.
I'll drive to the Amtrak station, buy a ticket for New York. Leave my car at the Amtrak station, no more payments ever again. I'm gonna move to Europe, I'm gonna leave my girlfriend, I'm gonna change my name. I'm starting over.
That song, by the way, sounded like Bob Dylan singing a Bruce Springsteen song.
All right, yeah, I can see that. That's pretty funny. Dan also co-wrote beautiful ride with Mike for this soundtrack.
No, they work together quite a bit on this one. And more often than not, at least one of them was involved on each song on the Walk Hard soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes one of them and somebody else, sometimes them together. I mean, all kinds of variations. Sean, did you get into any of Dan Burns' protest music from the W. Bush era?
No, I did not, Dustin.
I'm going to play you a little clip from his song President. Should not be surprising that he had a hand in writing the song Dear Mr. President on Walk Hard.
I raised up my hand, said I solemnly swear one January day. And just like that, I was the president of the USA. Just like that, I was the president of the USA. There are limos, bands.
That's a pretty fun little tune.
Yeah, it's got more of that Dylan influence. I think that's a thing in Dan Burns' real life is that he's been compared to Bob Dylan a lot.
Well, I can see it.
Comes in real handy later in this film.
Yes, it certainly does.
That song's 7.5 minutes long, by the way.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah, he had at least a couple of those. He had President and Bush Must Be Defeated.
Oh, sure. Well, that was a popular thing to do back in those days, was to write anti-Bush songs.
I had some punk rock label compilations that were rock against Bush or
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
remember that stuff. Yeah.
I just want to touch on one more of the songwriters, a fella by the name of Marshall Crenshaw, who, according to that featurette that I found on YouTube, was the first songwriter brought into the process.
Oh, interesting.
And once they turned in the demo for Walk Hard, Jake and Judd instantly knew that this was going to be the song. But perhaps you do remember this Marshall Crenshaw song from 1982. It was a top 40 hit.
I can't stand to see you sad. I can't bear to hear you cry. If you can't tell me what you need, all I can do is wonder why. Someday, some way, someday, some way, yeah now. Someday, some way, maybe I'll understand you.
The song's called Someday, Some Way.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recognize that song, Dustin?
Maybe.
Okay.
It's not super strong in my brain, but when it got to that chorus part, I was I had that feeling, maybe I've heard this.
It sort of triggers a little bit of, faint recognition. Yeah, I felt the same way. But maybe the listeners, you don't recognize that at all. Perhaps you've seen the movie La Bamba. Dustin, have you seen the movie La Bamba?
I've definitely seen the movie La Bamba. I watched it in Spanish class, maybe with you.
Of course, yeah. Absolutely. That's probably where I saw it the first time as well. So, Marshall Crenshaw plays Buddy Holly in La Bamba. Here's Crying, Waiting, Hoping.
Crying, my tears keep falling all night long. Wait, it seems so useless. I know it's wrong. Keep crying, waiting, hoping you'll come back. Maybe someday soon things will change.
It's been a minute since I've seen La Bamba. I forgot that there were actually any I know obviously Buddy Holly was involved because they were in the same plane wreck and all that, but I forgot that there was Buddy Holly performances in it.
All right, so listeners, say you don't remember Someday, Some Way from 1982. You haven't seen La Bamba. All right, I'm going to give one more thing a shot in terms of what Marshall Crenshaw has been involved with. It's 1995. He's at South by Southwest, and Marshall Crenshaw co-writes this song with the Gin Blossoms guitarist Jesse Valenzuela. The song is Till I Hear It From You.
Baby, I don't wanna take advice from fools. I'll just figure everything is cool until I hear it from you.
Apparently, they co-wrote that song in a hotel together. Crazy.
Wow. Who knew?
Not me.
Not me on this one. I didn't know any of this shit, Sean, until you brought it all up.
None of it?
None of it. No.
Hey, that's great.
I did not do my Marshall Crenshaw homework at all.
Now, I know you guys might be thinking, when the hell are they going to get to the actual music of this movie? I'll tell you, not yet. because we still got to talk about all of the greatness that John C. Reilly has done before and since Walk Hard. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, listeners. Dustin, I'm sure you're super aware of this, but John C. Reilly in 2002 was nominated for an Academy Award for Supporting Actor.
In Chicago.
Yes. Yeah. And he is absolutely fantastic. He has a solo song. It's called Mr. Cellophane. And in case you've never heard it, get ready to be blown away by the sound of this man's voice.
I tell ya, cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should I bet my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Never even know I'm there.
My God, that's beautiful.
What an amazing Benjamin Button career, in a way, John C. Reilly has had. He started there. He started like doing Magnolia and Chicago, all these like critical darlings, and then moved to Walk Hard, and then to Step Brothers, and then to Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
I truly do. I've always believed one of the things that made Dr. Steve Brule so funny was that it was Academy Award nominated actor John C. Reilly playing him.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
He brings such authenticity to his comedic characters. You can see it in his eyes, the realness of the absurdity, and you believe every second of it. It's pure genius.
Yeah.
Just to keep rolling with the beautiful sounds of John C. Reilly's voice, in 2006, John was featured on a compilation album called Rogues Gallery, Pirate Ballads, Sea Songs, and Shanties. This is a song called My Son John, and the album came out in 2006.
This was not related to a film?
No, not related to a film at all.
My son John was tall and slim, and he had a leg for every limb. But now he's got no legs at all, for he ran a race with a cannonball. Timmy Roo Dum Da, follow riddle da, whack for the riddle, Timmy Roo Dum Da.
Sea shanty songs are so great. I'm a big fan.
Oh, sea shanties are great. And I love the ones that sound more like this. Like
Yes.
there was the TikTok trend of sea shanties was a thing for a minute, and it was more like, whoa.
Yeah, those like booming ones. Yeah.
Which is cool too, but like I like something where it meets Irish drinking song.
I agree.
So he just did that seemingly for no reason other than to sing a sea shanty.
I guess they just asked him to do it.
That's great.
And this was even a year before Walk Hard. Walk Hard 2007, this was 2006.
Okay.
But after Walk Hard, John collaborated with a man, Tom Brosseau, in 2011 for Jack White's Third Man Records, and they did a 2-track release. Both of them are covers of Delmore Brothers songs. I'm going to play just one of them. It's a song called Lonesome Yodel Blues 2.
You know I never liked him, I didn't want him around. When you flirted with him, there I shot him down. You're gonna be sorry for what you've done. I leave your lady, I leave your lady, I leave your lady, I leave your lady.
Hey, that's fun. He's making all kinds of cool musical choices.
He really is. It's super, super cool and fun. So the Delmore Brothers version's from 1936 and goes like this.
You know I never liked him, didn't want him around. When you flirted with him, then I shot him down. You're gonna be sorry for what you done. I be a lady dee, I be a lady dee, I be a lady dee, I be a lady.
Pretty straightforward cover they did, all things considered there.
Yeah, pretty much. That's we're into Coen Brothers music.
Oh, that is totally Coen Brothers song. I didn't even realize that. You're so right.
Yeah, which is stuff I love.
Oh, yeah. They have Amazing soundtracks, the Coen brothers. And then I just want to do one final John C. Reilly song, and then we can move on to this glorious soundtrack from the movie Walk Hard. In 2015, Tom Berceau, and a woman by the name of Becky Stark performed for the Tiny Desk.
Oh, the NPR show.
Yes, yeah, the NPR show, which they do all kinds of fun stuff. And they did a song that John called Rock of Ages. Turns out it has a different title, but here's that song.
I have seen the Rock of Ages, Jacob's ladder hang down. I have crossed the river of Jordan. Now, my son, I'm homeward bound.
So the original title for that song is I've Just Seen the Rock of Ages. It's from 1976 by Larry Sparks and the Lonesome Ramblers.
I've just seen the Rock of Ages, Jacob's ladder hanging down.
And these vocals are very Oh Brother.
Very Oh Brother. Also, I was just thinking, if they ever, for some reason, made a Mightier Wind, Mighty Wind 2, the group we heard, the John C. Reilly group, should be involved as an additional band.
Oh, yes, that would be killer.
They could totally pull that off.
Every song that they do for the Tiny Desk would fit that.
Yeah, all old folk songs.
Yeah, they even have an upright bass going.
Nice.
So yeah, John C. Reilly, huge, massive catalog of music. Seek it out if any of that stuff sounded awesome to you.
Yeah.
He's got a lot for you to enjoy.
An accomplished singer in genres I didn't even know he had dipped his toes in. Yeah. That's cool. I love when people just do stuff because they like it.
Yes!
Does it like it didn't, there's not like a movie attached to any of these things. He's just like, I want to sing and I can sing in this way. Like his voice works really well for the styles he's picked.
But he's also playing guitar in all of these things that I've played as well. He played the actual guitar for the movie, plays the guitar in real life, is very talented musician.
A treasure of our generation.
Yes, a true underrated treasure.
All right. Well, that has been a lot of informative backstory on the folks who put this movie together, and namely the folks who put the music together, because it's what we're here to talk about after all.
Yeah, we got to give them their shine.
I think it's time we dive into some of the songs, and I think first up, Sean, that we walk hard.
Oh. We have to start off with the titular track.
Yeah, well, because they do. It's right away. It's his first hit. It's a hit before he walks out of the recording studio, which is a gag I love. It sold like 10,000 copies or something before he even walks out of the studio. He's just famous now.
I can totally understand it because the song is so damn good. And as stated previously, this one was written by Marshall Crenshaw. Please enjoy Walk Hard.
Walk hard, hard down life's rocky road. Walk bold,
hard. Just makes you want to sing along.
It was really hard to figure out what section of this song to play.
Oh, man. And this song is also the one where we get versions throughout.
So many versions, yes.
Do you have any of those?
Oh, I have all of them.
Okay, great.
the worst that this world can give. But I still got a dream and a burning rage to live. Walk hard.
So, as Dustin just mentioned, there are tons of versions of this song in the movie. But before we get into those, I just want to touch on the Johnny Cash song that the song Walk Hard reminds me of. And not necessarily in the way that it sounds, but the tone and the vibe and the feel of the song rather than it sounding exactly similar.
Oh, I'm excited. I want to hear what you got.
It's a Johnny Cash song from 2001 called The Man Comes Around.
There's a man going round taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same. there'll be a golden ladder reaching down when the man comes around.
So I realize they don't sound super similar, but like in tone, it really feels like a Walk Hard kind of a vibe.
Yeah, I would say the vibe's there. And that version, that like later era version of Johnny Cash, the Rick Rubin produced records, was definitely in the consciousness at the time they were writing Walk Hard.
100% was, yeah.
I mean, that was his big Hurt, was his huge comeback, the Nine Inch Nails cover.
Yes.
Legendary. I don't think we even need to play it. It's another one where, again, you heard it when I said it.
Yeah. Chances are there are people that still don't know that that's a Nine Inch Nails cover. That's one of the rare circumstances where the cover song became like so good that Nine Inch Nails was like, no, man, that's a Johnny Cash song now.
Yeah, it's an All Along the Watchtower situation.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty cool when that happens. Super rare, but really cool.
When I was rewatching this, I had actually forgotten, speaking of, we just mentioned A Mighty Wind a little bit ago, I'd forgotten that John Michael Higgins had a brief part in Walk Hard. And it's so good because it's one of those like where they just say it in the most straightforward way, the thing that they're parodying, and he's I forget what he says. He's like, "I'll give you one more chance to impress me, and you've got 10 seconds."
Yeah.
And then they start playing the song that will become Walk Hard, and right away he's like, I like this. Like he's into it instantly. It's just such a biopic moment. It's so cheesy and good.
And it has that classic tropey moment that even Back to the Future sort of did, where he's like, hey, follow me for the lead changes and all of that, where like the band has no fucking idea what song he's about to play, but then they just magically know it and come together in like full sound out of nowhere.
Like it's a real thing. You can follow someone musically like that, but
Right.
But for it to come out fully formed is always pretty funny.
Yeah.
Walk hard,
Walk hard.
down life's rocky road. Walk bold, hard, that's my creed.
I really love when Parnell starts singing along in a second. He's like surprised by it. It's like, what's going on? Am I singing the words? I don't even know
It
this
just
song.
overcomes him. Yeah.
I'm a share of the worst that the world can give, but I still got a dream and a burning rage to live.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the scene where they actually record it and it becomes a hit.
Right.
In one montage.
And then the next version of the song that we see in the movie is the hardcore punk version. After Dewey finds cocaine.
Wait, what's wrong with you, Dewey? You sound like some kind of punk. I love this version. I think it's great. It's a super funny bit, and it's totally worth it. It does stick out to me because it's like the one, not the one, but one of the like anachronistic bits in the movie where it's like, oh, the punk stuff should have happened later after the, there are several eras of music. Like we're not to the late 70s yet, but that's okay. It was worth it for the joke.
Yeah, it was totally worth it for that. And again, it sounds pretty fantastic. So, speaking of not getting through the 70s yet, the actual third version that we hear is the theme song for his 70s
talk show.
TV
Or his
show.
variety show, yeah.
Walk hard, down life's rocky road. Walk bold, hard, that's my creed, my code. I've been scorned and slandered and ridiculed. See my share of the worst that the world can give, but still got a dream and a burning rage to live. Walk hard.
Is that a parody of anything in particular? Did Johnny Cash have a variety show?
I don't know. I feel like it's probably just a general parody of like Sonny and Cher kind of
Yeah, okay.
shows.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the the style for in the 70s, in the high disco cocaine era. Yeah, definitely. It was just like recreating Studio 54 on TV for the masses.
And at least Dewey's not mainlining PCP anymore for this stage of his career.
Yes, true.
So the versions are going to keep going. We've got two more. The next one that we hear is actually a sample by a rapper in Universe called Lil Nutsack. And it is actually Jaquez Slade and Danica Roselle. And this is called parentheses, You Make Me So, end parentheses, hard.
I wanna make you fucking hard. I'm so good, I gotta make you hard. Suck here till I make you hard. Come on me now that I made you hard.
Oh my God. What an amazing way to use that.
It's so good, and it's so a thing that was happening right and left. Samples were big, but like not in the same way they are now. Not in the same way they were in the 80s, and not in the same way they are now. You know, it was very overt for a minute, the way things were being sampled.
The final version of Walk Hard has some pretty big musical legends in it. Lyle Lovett, Jewel, Jackson Brown, and Ghostface Killah.
Been scorned and slandered and ridiculed too.
Had to struggle every day my whole life through. See my share of the worst this world can give, but I've still got a dream and a burning rage to live.
When they say you're all done.
They harmonize really well for that.
It even sounds like a folk rock supergroup. It reminds me of the Traveling Wilburys.
Oh, okay.
You remember them?
Yes, I do.
The band that included Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, George Harrison, Roy Orbison, and others.
I had not put that together, nor did I even remember that band until right now. So good call there.
Which, as far as supergroups go, because sometimes it's just not a good idea to do a supergroup. Sometimes it's just you're just trading on the names and it doesn't actually work. But that group worked. They had some real good songs amongst them.
They didn't mention that in the featurette that I watched, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the direct inspiration for that particular version of the song.
Definitely all those people are heavy hitters, and several of them, namely, inspire other songs directly in the movie.
That's the beautiful thing about this soundtrack is the different genres that it spans throughout its entirety. It covers almost every genre that you can think of.
It shouldn't be as good as it is, this movie. It shouldn't, but it's damn near perfect. All right, we're going to keep it going. The next song I wanted to talk about, Sean, is the song A Life Without You Is No Life at All.
Now I miss you so. Please don't let me go. I make mistakes, and that is true. At least I learn each time I do. Darling, you must believe I could never leave you if I tried. A life without you is no life at all.
So, speaking of Traveling Wilburys, we're into the Roy Orbison part of Dewey's career.
Yes, we are.
This little bit in the movie, I believe, is shot in black and white.
Yep.
And he's got the sunglasses on. It's so Roy Orbison. I'm just going to play a little bit of Roy Orbison's Crying to give you a sense of how similar they are.
My hands still dry as you stop to say hello. Oh, you wished me well, you couldn't tell that I'd been crying over you, crying over you. Then you said so long
Orbison was kind of the original emo.
Oh.
Like he was popular at the same time as, but very different from Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis. He was not a flamboyant performer. He just kind of stood there, played his guitar, and sang about feelings. I've got one more Orbison track, Only the Lonely, that I wanted to play just a bit of because I think it is a better correlation for the chorus part of the Dewey Cox song.
They're gone forever, so far apart, but only the lonely know why I cry.
Crying again.
Oh, yeah.
Like, crying was his thing. Little Roy Orbison. You know, Sean, Roy Orbison is a guy who, when I was a kid, I heard Roy Orbison's songs and thought they were much older than they were because I didn't realize how prolific he still was into the, 80s.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Some of his biggest hits are way newer than I thought. Well, at least way newer than I thought then. I've since learned.
Right.
His version of I Drove All Night is fucking fantastic. I think Cyndi Lauper has the other famous version of it.
Oh, okay.
We're playing enough. I'm not going to lay more clips down, but that's one to check out, the differences between those two.
I was curious if you were going to use In Dreams for this song or not.
For whatever reason, I didn't pick In Dreams. Do you want to play a little In Dreams?
I softly say a silent prayer like dreamers do. Then I fall asleep to dream my dreams of you. In dreams I walk with you. In dreams I talk to you.
Yeah, I think that what you just played In Dreams, that really hits it pretty well because that's got more of that Texas country flavor still that he started with, and you can hear that in the Dewey Cox song as well.
Sure, sure.
So good call, good play.
It's a team effort here.
That's really all I have about A Life Without You Is No Life at All, which, by the way, was written by Mike Viola.
Oh, great. A Mike tune.
Yeah, that was a fully Mike tune. He's the only credited songwriter. I mean, I'm sure more people were involved with all of these, but you got to assign the credits at some point, and he was credited for that one.
Go Mike.
Great tune, and just really captured the Roy Orbison thing really well with the music, and I just loved how they took something I didn't even recognize as a thing, like that all of Roy Orbison's materials are black and white, even well into the color era. Any video that he was releasing, he did in black and white. They just capitalized on that, and it's so funny.
They really knew their history for parody in this movie.
I mean, that's the thing that's really obvious is everyone involved, from director and writers of the film to the writers of the songs. Everybody was well versed in sort of rock and roll history, and so they could pull all this stuff off convincingly.
Set decorators, costume department, everybody's nailing this thing so hard.
And literally, you talk about a period piece, it's all the periods.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand how it didn't immediately make its budget back. All right, moving on. I'm going to take this next song, too, because we divvied these up beforehand.
We did.
I said I'll do some, and Sean will do some, and I'm taking the lead on the next one because it's the next song in the movie. It's where we meet Jenna Fisher's character and the long, slow affair between Dewey Cox and Darlene begins. And it starts with this song, which to me, I saw this film in the theater. It is a rare movie, Sean, that I saw when it came out in the movie theater.
Hey, good job, bud.
There's so much music in it that it's a lot to process, but one of the songs that stuck with me for its just hits you on the head comedy lyrics was this next one, Let's Duet.
In my dreams, you're blowing me some kisses.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
You and I could go down in history.
That's what I'm praying to do with you.
Let's do it in ways that make us feel good. Let's do it and make that sacred sound. Put two and two together, perfect harmony we
That opening line always makes me giggle.
That one, that one gets me so hard. And then the I'm gonna beat off
All my demons.
all my demons. Yeah, I mean, just straight up comedy lyrics. Like that one's pretty. That's as close to over the being serious line as they kind of get.
Yeah.
But it's so good. Okay, a couple things that are notable or that I want to note about this song. First of all, that is not Jenna Fischer's voice that we're hearing singing the song. That is a singer named Angela Correa. She's done some other stuff. She's got a song featured in the series finale of Ugly Betty.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. She's also a member of Les Shellys, a project created with Tom Brousseau in 2003.
Oh, look at that. That must have been her way in then.
So yeah, she's in a folk duo. Well, look, we're learning live. She's in a folk duo with Tom Brousseau, who you mentioned earlier as having done folk music with
John C. Reilly.
So yeah, everybody knows each other. It's all coming together.
Big group of friends working on this project here.
Seems like it. Now, another notable thing about this song is it was not written by any of the people we've talked about so far.
Oh, hot dog.
This one is by, has two songwriters, a guy named Charlie Wadhams and a guy named Benji Hughes.
Oh.
Benji Hughes caught my eye because he's involved in some other stuff we've talked about.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Namely, he appears on Jeff Bridges' self-titled country album from 2011. He has also had songs featured in Beverly Hills 90210, Chuck, How I Met Your Mother, and Eastbound and Down.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to call out that we talked about how almost every song is made by these four people we mentioned at the beginning. Well, that's not entirely true. We did say almost, I guess, so it is entirely true. But there are other songwriters, and this song was by two completely different ones that we have not mentioned, and I believe this is the only song that they contributed to.
Well, actually, my next song, Charles Wadhams, did write that as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Now, let's duet. It's kind of a parody of the concept of duets, I guess. But I think I would say the jumping off point, the title, Walk Hard, is a reference to the movie Walk the Line. And so I think this is a classic Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash collab.
Sunshine and showers and everything coming up daisies. Oh, what a good thing we had gone bad. Oh, what a good thing we had.
Drivings and picnics and every day was Saturday.
Oh, what a good thing we had gone bad. Oh, what a good thing.
That's Oh, What a Good Thing We Had by Johnny and June from their album that they released together, Carrying On, with Johnny Cash and June Carter. One more from them. This one's called Fast Boat to Sydney, and I think this one captures what I believe they are trying to reference in the film, which is the palpable sexual tension that was felt between these two when they first got together on stage.
I said, listen to me, babe. I gave up the loving trade. I'm tired of all this running, jumping, playing.
But you like it down under the world with the Australian girls, and there's not a word of truth in what you're saying.
Oh, but I'm a cheat and I'm a liar,
and you're a loving ball of fire.
Honey, I'll leave you like a bum without a penny.
And while I'm home with the blues,
I'll be hopping like a kangaroo when I get off of that fast boat to Sydney.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with that one.
Yeah, I think that's the one. It's got the really back and forth style, because sometimes the duets are more about the harmonizing, and I feel like Let's Duet in Walk Hard has that playful back and forth. It's almost conversational.
Totally it. So as I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, Charles Wadhams wrote the next song we're going to talk about, and that song is Guilty as Charged.
I don't need anybody's help to rise above it. If you don't like the way I'm living, buddy, why don't you shut it? When you feel the ground shaking underneath your feet, oh, that's yours truly walking down the street. Come a little closer, girl, I'll show you my scars. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty as charged.
Now this one, I had trouble placing what exactly it's referencing in music history. You have anything, any thoughts on that?
So I don't necessarily have something that is an inspiration for this song specifically, but I do have something that Guilty as Charged reminds me of. So it's from Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. And this song originally appeared on their 1976 comedy album Sleeping Beauty. The song is called Framed.
I was sitting in a coffee shop just minding my own affairs when all of a sudden this policeman caught me unawares. He said, "Is your name Pedro?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so." He said, "Then come with me because you're the man we've been looking for." I said, "Hey man, I've been framed." Hey, no really man, I was framed. I never do nothing wrong, man, but every time I get the blame, I've been framed.
So yeah, that's a song that I think of quite frequently when I hear Guilty as Charged.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the subject matter is very similar.
Yes, yeah. And just so everybody knows, we will talk about Alice Bowie, the fictional band in Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke at some point in time. That is a thing that's very much in my brain to think about, to talk about on the show.
I don't think I've ever seen that film.
Oh man, it's one of those classic stoner films. Yeah,
I'm really excited to actually finally log that one. As far as Guilty as Charged, I mean, yeah, I couldn't come up with anything that I could put my finger on as like, oh, this is the direct inspiration. I mean, it's definitely got still Johnny Cash elements. I would even say the song Walk the Line with the horn parts.
I was trying to find specifically Johnny Cash horn songs, and it was really, like Ring of Fire doesn't necessarily sound like this, but it is horn-centric.
Oh yeah, I said Walk the Line, I meant Ring of Fire. I did mean Ring of Fire has bum ba ba ba.
Yes.
Yeah, Ring of Fire.
So yeah, I didn't necessarily have a thing that that triggered the inspiration for Guilty as Charged, but
sure.
I just couldn't find it. So I went with something that was very personalized to me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and you found something with where the narrative content was the same. Lock me up, throw away the key, kind of like.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So now we're going to skip ahead a couple because the next two songs are hilarious, but borderline unplayable. Because they are ones that I think I referenced earlier with some offensive content that, again, I don't believe is wrong because I think it's funny in context and it's meaningful in context of the film. But if I just played clips from it now, it would be just a string of slurs, essentially.
Yeah.
We're going to skip Dear Mr. President and Let Me Hold You, Little Man.
Yep.
And we're going to go right to Royal Jelly because all three of those songs are part of the folk and specifically Bob Dylan era of Dewey Cox's career. And with this one, we actually are going to get one of the best Bob Dylan parodies, I think, ever to be recorded. I mean, so much so that in the film, they say, Dewey Cox, you sound just like Bob Dylan, and cut right to this song.
Mailboxes drip like lampposts in the twisted birth canal of the Coliseum. Rim job fairy teapots mask the temper tantrum. Oh, say, can you see 'em? Stuffed cabbage is the darling of the laundromat, and the sorority mascot sat with the lumberjack. Pressing, passing, stinging, half-synthetic fabrications of his time. The mouse with the overbite explain how the rabbits were ensnared. In the skinny, scanny self-thrash, the apothecary diplomat inside the three-eyed monkey within inches of his toaster oven life.
Okay. Couple things I want to say about this one. First of all, I read an article that you sent me, Sean, about the creation of this song, which was written by Dan Byrne. One of the things he said in it was just how much fun it was to just take on a full Bob Dylan parody like this, because he was like, once you write one of these crazy lyrics of just almost nonsense words strung together, it just begs you to write more and more and more. And I get that. Like, I understood what he meant in saying that. Like, oh, it would be so much fun to just try to do something fully in the style of another person like that with essentially no rules on the lyrical content other than, I mean, I don't know. There are rules because it sounds like Bob Dylan wrote it. The other thing I kind of realized for the first time, and it took me hearing the Dewey Cox version to put this together, but Bob Dylan and Randy Newman vocally, they're swimming in the same pool. It's just different tempos, but that inflection, that unique inflection, is they both have it. Actually, something about the way he said Coliseum, like that's so Randy Newman.
Yeah, I never noticed that until you just pointed it out, but that is spot on. Oh, that's so funny.
So I wanted to do a thing here. This is where I have a shitload of clips.
Oh, okay.
For a moment, I was going to do the game thing.
Oh.
I don't think this would be a fun game. I think it would be a hard game. The game would have been Who's That parodying Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. There's a couple. I'm going to make you guess a couple of them because I know you have a chance of getting them. And then the ones where I'm like, there's no fucking way. I'm not going to put you through it.
Okay.
The point I'm getting at here is there is a long and storied tradition of making fun of the way Bob Dylan's voice sounds in both music and in Hollywood. And I just wanted to go through a few examples.
Great. Love it.
You're going to guess this first one because you're going to get it.
Oh, it's Weird Al. That was that. Yeah, I got that one instantly.
Yeah, this is Weird Al with his song Bob.
Song was wrong. Was it a car or a cat I saw?
Oh, he does the harmonica even.
He's got some harmonica, yeah. Surprised it wasn't accordion.
Yeah.
Here's another one that was like more in Bob Dylan's heyday. This is from 1978.
But they charged me double for
And this is from a 13-minute Frank Zappa track, or it's actually like 3 songs together. Flakes / Broken Hearts Are for Assholes / I'm So Cute. This is not Frank. This is another member of his band whose name I didn't get.
better get your senses reeling.
They use the harmonica as well in this one.
They use the harmonica as well. They're going for it. They're doing what I think I cut it off, but in the beginning of the clip, he says, "Take it away, Bob," or something like that. It's not Bob Dylan, obviously.
Get you so crazy till your head.
That's not a bad vocal impression, though.
It's not. It's really pretty good, and especially like to have the guts to do it in a contemporary sense like that.
Yeah.
Not that, Bob Dylan's still around, but I feel like it's far more acceptable now to do Bob Dylan impressions because that seal has been broken long ago. So yeah, Frank Zappa and co. Good work.
Yeah.
I've listened to more Frank Zappa due to this show than I ever have in my life. And I'm into it. Like, I'm getting into Frank Zappa. This is the kind of music I could sink my teeth into. Here's one for you, Sean.
Ooh.
A guesser.
All right. Ooh.
Did you get enough of it?
Well, so at first in the clip, I wanted to say Springsteen, but then later in the clip, I almost wanted to say John Bon Jovi, but I don't think either of those are correct.
Neither of those is correct, and I'm not going to fault you for this one. That is Timothy Chalamet from the upcoming
Good
Bob Dylan
Christ.
biopic, and the reason I only had that much of it because
This is in the trailer. Yeah.
and not just that, it was from a video of people talking about the trailer, so I really had to work hard to find that little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that movie was coming out, but that wasn't in the front of my brain to guess, so that one.
But again, I think it was a good impression. I think he sounded like him.
Is he actually doing the vocals for that movie?
Yeah, apparently he's actually doing the vocals.
Okay. I know he sang in the Wonka musical that came out recently.
Now we're going to veer more into comedy world.
It's understood. He's just there to take good care of me like it's one of the family.
Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
Holy fuck, nailed it!
Jimmy Fallon singing the Charles in Charge theme song. That's Bob Dylan.
Charles in charge of our days and our nights.
As far as Fallon singing impersonations go, that one's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
This harmonica here. This will
You can even hear this guy talking, and you're not going to get who it is.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride.
He's always giggling on these songs.
What a fun it is to ride. I think Calvin Coolidge said that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a newer one. That's James Austin Johnson from the current SNL cast. He's the guy who does Trump now.
Okay.
But that's him on Fallon doing Bob Dylan.
Fallon loves a good Dylan impression.
Fallon loves a good Dylan impression.
In fact, here's another one.
Another person on Fallon.
Are you shitting me? Is that real?
I shit you not.
When the bow breaks on the cradle will fall, and then will come, baby, the cradle and oh my God, that's
Will Forte?
No, good guess. Would you believe it's Ethan Hawke?
No, wow. All right. Okay. All right.
Just wanted to put you out of your misery quick on that one because there's no road that leads to, oh, it's Ethan Hawke.
No.
Doing a Bob Dylan impersonation.
That's funny.
Here's another one where I'm just going to tell you straight up. This is Joan Baez doing Bob Dylan singing as Joan Baez.
I'll do Bobby Dylan singing Joan Baez, okay? Okay. Word is to the kitchen gun, and word is to the hound, and word is up to Madam the Queen, and that's the worst of all.
That's a fun little clip.
That's some meta shit right there.
It sure is.
That's funny.
All right, now I've got one, no singing at all.
Hey, I was gonna be daddy said time, have a time.
Now, I'll translate for the Dylan impaired.
There's a little hint.
He said good evening.
It's Dana Carvey.
Yep.
Daddy said have a seat.
Receiving the award was a great honor.
Yeah, it's a Weekend Update character.
Well, everybody ham, hey, hey, Ray.
The video that goes with it does add some value to it. But okay, so there was comedy. Now, real quick, back to contemporary musicians who like to razz their pal Bob.
Newspapers said the temple members had protested the mindless arms race and the filthy war in Vietnam and were persecuted and finally forced to seek refuge in another country. Wow, it sounds like a ballad to me. Oh man, Bangkok, Thailand has launched an air sea search and fishing boat carrying some 400 Vietnamese refugees. The boat was towed back out to sea after arriving in Thailand. Sources said because of a breakdown in communication.
That is a song called News of the Day by John Lennon.
Oh, okay.
Here's a clip from a song I had definitely never heard before. It is called A Simple Desultory Philippic, or How I Was Robert McNamara'd into Submission by Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh.
I've been Norman Mallard, Maxwell Taylor. I've been John O'Hara, McNamara. I've been Rolling Stone and Beatles till I'm blind. I've been Ayn Randed, nearly branded.
Is this Simon or Garfunkel? This is Paul Simon, right?
I believe it's Paul Simon, yes. It was released as a Simon and Garfunkel, or on a Simon and Garfunkel album, but yes, this is Paul Simon.
Okay.
I've been Lou Adler, Barry Sadler.
That's a great song.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It stands on its own right. Also, definitely doing Dylan.
It's not full Dylan like some of the other ones were. That one was still Simon and Garfunkel but also Bob Dylan.
Yes. They brought their own flavor and then did the vocal gag.
Right.
And the lyrical thing.
Yes, yeah. But that was good. I've never heard that song before. That was a pretty rad track.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that one. And then, I would feel remiss if I didn't include it. Last but not least, maybe the most famous, arguably Bob Dylan parody or impression of all time.
Dustin, I can't hear this song without cutting somebody's ear off and soaking them in gasoline.
I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs.
That's such a good song.
Gotta give it up for a little Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers Wheel, not by Bob Dylan. No matter what it says on Napster.
Well, that was fun, Dustin. You found a shit ton of Bob Dylan impressions. Way more than I thought than you were going to have. I'll say that.
Yeah. I knew it was a thing in comedy, but I didn't know how many like contemporary ones there were going to be. That was the most fun part.
Yeah, that was really fun. And that Simon and Garfunkel song, that's a good one.
So, now that we're done with Dylan, we're going to move Dewey on to his next era. And his next era is the Brian Wilson Beach Boys Pet Sounds and Smile recording session era. And we get a little taste of that with the song Black Sheep.
Black Sheep, take 112.
1 in, a 2 in, a 5, 6, 7, 8. I just close my eyes when I fantasize. Much to my surprise, I'm only half the size that I used to be. Brother, this black sheep got a roll. It's on the beat. Do flat, do flat, do flat. Like that with some urgency.
We'll cut it there with him trying to get the goat to perform correctly. This bit is super hilarious because it's, again, straight out of real life. If you go into the history of the Beach Boys and listen to any of the other members of the band that are not Brian Wilson, who had pretty much taken complete control of the group at that point as the lead songwriter, they just talk about how miserable they were at times during the recording sessions for Pet Sounds, and then there was an album after Pet Sounds. It was supposed to be called Smile. It was eventually abandoned, and then parts of it were used for their album Smiley Smile. But with just the ruthlessness with which Brian Wilson ruled the studio. And it was just, they reference it in the beginning of this song in the movie where they're like, take 114, because he just had him doing it over and over and over again. And this is where they started bringing in all kinds of studio musicians, and like where the rest of the Beach Boys themselves weren't really contributing that much musically at this moment. They do perfectly again in Walk Hard. This is where Dewey's band, who have been his band up to this point in his career, walk out on him.
I think Matt Besser at one point's like, the goats are singing on this song more than I am.
Oh, there's so many good lines in this. It's also where he references the fact that Dewey's pet chimp makes more money than him. He goes, I had to borrow money from the chimp to get a mortgage. And it's also where we get into, again, based on real life, based on Brian Wilson bringing in every conceivable instrument he could think of from the world. And we get Dewey Cox's line, I want an army of didgeridoos. 50,000 didgeridoos. Now, the flip side to that is, I think Black Sheep is an interesting and cool song.
It goes a lot of different places.
It goes a lot of different places, and much like in real life, Pet Sounds is a very interesting album, and it's now considered one of the greatest pop records of all time.
Spilling of swell, just half.
But at the time, they were just like, oh my God, Brian wants to be like the Beatles, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and we're just supposed to sing about surfing, and like nobody was behind him. There's a lot to say, but the thing I want to get to most is the fact that this song, Black Sheep, was written by two writers. One of them is Michael Andrews, who we talked about, who was sort of the actual score writer for the film.
Right.
The other writer on this was a guy named Van Dyke Parks. And the interesting thing about Van Dyke Parks, this is the only song he wrote on for Walk Hard. He was actually in the room for this stuff in real life. He collaborated with the Beach Boys, with Brian Wilson, on not on Pet Sounds, but on the session after, on the Smile sessions. He also, just to give you the smallest idea I can of who this guy Van Dyke Parks has been involved with in music. We've got Tim Buckley, The Byrds, Loudon Wainwright, Rufus Wainwright, Harry Nilsson, Randy Newman, Ry Cooder, Silverchair, Keith Moon, Frank Zappa, Ringo Starr, U2, Cher, Sam Phillips, Frank Black, Sixpence None the Richer, Carly Simon, Sheryl Crow, Fiona Apple, Gordon Lightfoot, the Everly Brothers, Natalie Merchant, The Thrills, Scissor Sisters, Bonnie Raitt, and Matthew Sweet. And I've cut a bunch of names out of there.
Wow.
This guy's worked with everybody.
You mentioned a handful of people that we've talked about in previous shows for K-Flix.
Yeah. And there's one name that I wanted to mention in there. Loudon Wainwright, Rufus Wainwright's dad. Sort of famous folk singer, but also known for playing the dad in the show Undeclared. So there's another back to Apatow connection.
Wow.
So I almost wonder if that's how they got in contact with Van Dyke.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah. So a slight diversion there just on how many people this guy has worked with. Just because I saw that list and I was like, that's wild. I've seen a lot of these lists doing this show, and that is the biggest, craziest one I've seen yet. Because it's also like wild card. Randy Newman to Silverchair. What? The songs from the actual Beach Boys that I want to bring up, I think might have inspired Black Sheep. First of all, one called Hang On to Your Ego, or alternatively known as I Know There's an Answer. It's got two names because it's got two versions. I think, actually, I Know There's an Answer is the official version on Pet Sounds, but I've always liked this one, Hang On to Your Ego. It's more demo-y.
They isolate their heads and stay in their safety zone. What can you tell them? What can you say that won't make them defensive? Hang on to your ego. Hang on, but I know that you're gonna lose the fight.
But I think definitely in the low end, in the way the bass sounds and the timpanis and stuff that are in there, they're really hitting that hard in the Dewey Cox song.
Yeah.
The other more famous Beach Boys song that I think definitely lends some inspiration to this is one that started as a song that was supposed to be on Pet Sounds, but was cast aside and then eventually used later on the Smile record. And this one everybody should know.
Oh yeah.
Goes by the name Good Vibrations.
And the way the sunlight plays upon her head. I hear the sound of gentle wind on the wind that lifts her perfume through the air. I'm picking up good vibrations.
The theremin.
Nice use of the theremin. Yeah, there we go.
Are you telling us you don't want us to be in the band anymore? Unless you can learn to play the fucking theremin. I think that one too, it's very clearly in the Black Sheep mix.
Specifically, the very beginning of Black Sheep, that clip that you played, is super Good Vibration sounding.
Yeah, I mean, Black Sheep, the actual song from the soundtrack is way more expansive and epic, but the bit they use in the film is very Good Vibrations.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Dustin. You've killed it with those last two songs, and now I'm gonna sort of bring us home, and it's gonna be on a severe downbeat, so I'm gonna apologize for that right up front, dear listeners, but don't worry. We're gonna take the roller coaster down, and we're gonna bring it back up before the end of the episode. I can promise you that.
That's right.
We're gonna kick off the downward spiral with Beautiful Ride, written by Dan Byrne and Mike Viola. They came in with an absolute banger. This is one of my favorite songs, and I'd like to play a little bit of it right now.
And then in the end, it's family and friends. Loving yourself, but not only yourself. It's about the good walk and the hard walk and the young girls you've made cry. It's about making little music every day till you die. It's a beautiful ride.
I love the choir in this song.
Yeah. It's got that gravitas you need for a song that's about to cap off the movie.
Yep.
And we've skipped ahead eras a little bit, but they kind of do in the movie too. But this is now Dewey as an old man.
Yes.
Post getting a second win from that rap song we heard earlier.
Beautiful, beautiful ride.
I really like that song. I typically get a little emotional when listening to it. It's the most earnest song of any of them on the soundtrack.
It is, yeah.
And I tend to listen to the song when somebody close to me has passed away, and I have a similar experience with the next song that we're going to cover here. Have you heard the news? Dewey Cox died, which is the second song that plays in the credits. It's not actually featured in the film itself, but again, a pretty earnest song, though it ends in a very funny way of him just saying dead. But the song still does trigger my heartstrings pretty strong up until that point.
Put him in the ground, start to shovel dirt. Grown men turn away, cannot bear the hurt. He fell out of a tree, fell upon his head, rushed him to a hospital, there pronounced dead. Hey, have you heard the news? Dewey Cox died.
No, say it isn't so. Dewey Cox died.
That, no, say it isn't so.
Getcha.
That gets me real hard. I warned everybody that we were going to take a little bit of a turn here, and that's okay.
You know, John C. Reilly has said that he became quite emotional, I think, singing some of these songs.
I'm sort of going to lean into the turn and not focus on what may have inspired these two songs, but I would like to give you two other songs that helped me. I apologize again. That helped me cope with someone passing. And this next song is from 2016. It is from another movie that I find to be extraordinarily hilarious that I mentioned in the Animal House episode. The movie is called A Futile and Stupid Gesture. It is about the man Doug Kenny, who helped create the National Lampoon, Animal House, and Caddyshack. Martin Mull plays an old version of Doug Kenny in this movie. And the film closes out with a song that Martin Mull wrote for the film. It is called Time of My Life. With Martin's passing, it sort of hits a little bit harder.
Never had a problem. I never had a care. Still can wear my high school jeans and I still have all my hair. And when they lower the lid on all that I did, well, I promise you, kid, that it's true. I've had the time of my life, 'cause that's what dreamers do. All my dreams came true. 'Cause I've had the time of my life. Yeah, just the time.
Martin is just singing this song, and the entire cast is sitting around him covered in food from a food fight at a funeral.
Wow, so Martin Mull wrote that song?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
He apparently showed up to set and told David Wayne, hey, I wrote this song. I think it might fit for the end of the movie. So he just set up some cameras and let Martin do the song.
That's amazing.
Yeah. As I stated, the song plays over the credits, but after Martin's passing, David uploaded the full performance onto his YouTube channel for everybody to see the actual visual of it happening.
That's super cool.
And the final song that I would like to play for you is The most haunting of the four.
I heard your voice crack. I was like, oh, we're going deeper. Shit.
Another 2016 song off of the final David Bowie album. The song is called
I knew it was going to be Bowie.
Lazarus.
Oh, God.
Look up here, man, I'm in danger. I've got nothing left to lose. I'm so high it makes my brain whirl. Drop my cell phone down below. Ain't that just like me?
Yeah, so if you aren't aware as to why I find that song particularly haunting, it is because David Bowie died like a week or two after he shot that music video, and it is...
Yeah.
The visuals are very much so that he knew he was on the way out.
Oh, yeah. He left us with a haunting one, for sure. I mean, I want to say the album dropped days before he died.
Yeah.
Man, David Bowie is the only celebrity death that's ever brought me to tears. That was a real shitty morning.
Yeah, my mom was out here visiting, and his star on Hollywood Boulevard was so covered in flowers and notes. We had tickets to see Conan, and he changed the whole show to just be a David Bowie tribute show.
Yeah, that's how much gravity that dude had.
You know, I'm sorry to bring the mood down significantly for all of the funny things that we've been talking about and all of that, but those are my death songs that I like, for lack of a better phrasing. They bring out a lot of different emotions for me.
Yeah.
In terms of the spectrum of things that I can feel, which I think that's why I like all four of them, for helping me come to terms with things, because I get the sadness, I get the laughter, I go back to the sadness. And even though none of these songs have attachments to people, they all just have a comforting sort of vibe to them that helps me in some way that I can't describe vocally.
Yeah.
So again, I'm sorry that I did that, but it was it's all sort of tied together for me. So
man, I really appreciate you sharing this and taking it in this direction. It's a place we haven't really gone yet on the show, and I like it. Well, I want to ask, I didn't know you were going to do this. I didn't know you were going to go in this direction. And I do feel like I have a couple songs like that for me that I could add, but I also don't want to rain on your parade at the same time, you know?
Dude, it's already raining. I almost cried like 6 times. You're good.
Because, you know, I kind of lied earlier accidentally. I said David Bowie was the only celebrity musician death that like got to me in that way, and certainly it's the hardest that I've been through. But there is one more. This song always comes to mind when I think of this person, because I listened to it the morning that I found out he had passed.
Sunday morning brings
And I believe it was a Sunday morning. Not positive.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Lou Reed.
restless feeling by my side. Early dawning, Sunday morning.
Yeah, Lou Reed. Another chameleon of rock. He had so many different ways of being and ways of singing and ways of writing, but some of that stuff was just so beautiful and so simple, like Sunday Morning.
That's a really, really pretty song.
It is. And the last song I wanted to hit, I feel like it's a good last song for this section, because I think it'll take us back up a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's an end, but it's a sort of a more positive reflection on maybe a life well lived. And it happens to be by an artist that I did not cry for when they died, because I was not really all that aware of their work when they passed away. But this has since become, as because I've talked about it 1,000 times to anyone who will listen. If I ever had an idol in rock and roll, it's got to be the one and only Joe Strummer of The Clash. And the song's called Silver and Gold. It was on his final album. Actually, an album that was released after he died by about a year or two.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out dancing every night. I'm gonna see all the city lights. I'm do everything silver and gold. I got to hurry up before I grow too old. I'm gonna take a trip around the world. I'm gonna kiss all the pretty girls. I'm do everything silver and gold. And I got to hurry up before I grow too old.
Yeah, just a nice tune about, don't forget, we're here for a little while.
Yeah.
Do all the stuff.
That one's, that has a lot more beautiful ride vibes to it because that's like
Yeah.
an appreciative song.
Definitely, yeah.
So I promised before I dug that hole that we were going to get back out of it. So we're going to do a little bit of a speed round here. Dustin and I had selected 4 songs apiece from the soundtrack, but since there's over 30 songs, just want to speed run some other ones that we really enjoy.
Yes.
I would like to start with a Bobby Shad and the Bad Men song, but of course, not the one we can't say the title of. We're going to go with Jump Little Children.
Home, all the kids get glad. You know our house gonna jump like mad. We're gonna jump, little children, jump. We're gonna jump, little children, jump. We're gonna jump, little children. Mama and Papa's gone. Come on now, let's jump, 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 jump. Yeah, jump, 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 jump. Let's jump, 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 jump. Come on, jump, 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 jump. We're gonna jump, little children. Mama and Papa's gone.
Which is a super fun song and reminds me of a Little Richard song called Rip It Up from 1957.
Saturday night and I just got paid. Feel about my money, don't try to save. My heart said go, go. Have a time cause Saturday night and I feel fine. Gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it up. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up. And ball tonight.
Which is a great tune. I love me some Little Richard.
I love me some Little Richard, too. I love me some blues rock. So, that's where this all came from. That's where all this shit, everything we've talked about on the show for the most part, came from, really.
Yep.
Was like Little Richard and Chuck Berry and the rock and roll pioneers. And the blues pioneers before them.
Yes, uh-huh.
And that leads me to my first lightning round pick. And it's the scene where we get little baby, youngster, I should say, not baby, youngster Dewey Cox comes in and meets some blues musicians. And they're like, what do you know about the blues, kid? And he tells them with this voice.
I don't know that.
This voice is coming out of like a 7-year-old child.
I done a bad, bad thing.
I just love it because it gets in the idea of the blues are inside you. You got to experience some trauma in life to know the blues.
I'm gonna cry somewhere the devil's having a laugh.
All right. So here we go, Dustin. This is one where I couldn't even find the full version of the song. So I'm going to have to play a clip from a movie, and I'm only going to do it because you said you hate the fucking Partridge Family. So here's Dewey Cox's version of Come On, Get Happy.
We had a dream we'd go traveling together. Something always happens whenever we're together. We get a happy feeling when we're singing a song.
So yeah, there's a little bit of a sample there.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't even catch that in the movie.
Yeah, it's after he starts playing, like when he unofficially retires from music and starts learning about his like 43 kids that he has.
Right. Okay. Next one I want to hit is somebody we talked about during our Downer segment.
Oh yeah.
Mr. David Bowie, and this just cheesy, disco-y cover of Starman that Dewey plays on his variety show.
I love it, though.
Didn't know what time it was, the lights were low.
It's so goofy, it works.
Yeah.
Some cat was laying down some rock and roll, lot of soul, he said.
Lot of soul.
Then the loud sound did seem to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of fade. That weren't no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children use it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
It's
oh, it's so good.
It's so good because it's so of that time of it's what you would do on a variety show. It sucks all the power out of the Bowie's version of it, you know.
Yeah,
but he goes through all the motions of singing Starman. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Absolutely brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. So my final speed round song selection, Dustin, is going to be once again something that you don't like, as you stated in our Goofy Movie show. You absolutely love when somebody of a musical hierarchy makes a Christmas album. So have a Dewey Cox Christmas song called The Christmas Song from Dewey Cox.
I wish I could wake you Christmas morning, show you what Santa Claus brought, but the gals in Yazoo need their stockings stuffed too. For Christmas, the people want cars.
So that's going to close out the speed round, which just leaves the close of the episode now. So Dustin, I'm going to hit you with that classic question. If Dewey Cox or Bobby Shad and the Bad Men were making music in our real world, would you listen to it?
Yep, I would. These songs are the songs so far of all the films we've covered that I am most likely to listen to, probably.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you 100%. I listen to these songs quite frequently in my daily existence. I, once again, have this album on vinyl. I play it all the time, and I am in love with all of the songs on the soundtrack. I wish that all 30 plus of them were on the physical soundtrack, but I'll take what I can get. They're on YouTube for me to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great soundtrack. It's, like we said, they are good songs first, and they are funny additionally, and all the work they put into it shows. This film is a masterpiece. I'm not lying at all when I say that.
Yeah, he's speaking the 100% truth.
On that note, thanks for joining us. We're going to get out of here. It's been a really long record for this one. It's going to be worth it, but it's been long. So thanks for tuning in. Give us a rating or review on your podcast platform.
Yes, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, send us an email, fictionradiopod@gmail.com. Also, you can check out our website to find all of the episodes and links to our socials at fictionradiopod.com.
Watching movies, jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.